a comic creator, you may be wanting to get your manga or comic published through a publishing company. Traditional publishing can be a little bit more difficult than self-publishing or online publishing, however it is still possible and made easier through the methods I will talk about in today's video. I hope you enjoy this video and it helps you with your manga creations. If you don't already know me, my name is Midnight Cross, and on this channel, I dedicate all my videos to helping you turn your manga into a masterpiece. I'm currently working on my own manga titled Having Faith, which you might hear me talk about in today's video, but also in other videos on my channel. Now, if you're new to my channel and you'd love to see more videos just like this one today, please consider subscribing and hitting that little bell icon to get notified every time I upload something new. I upload a new video every Sunday and Thursday all about manga creating, and I'd love to have you join me on the channel. So first of all, I want to say that you don't need to have a complete manga in order to get published through a traditional publishing company. In fact, a lot of companies prefer either one-shot manga or shorter previews of your manga before you go any further into creating a full manga. A lot of manga in Japan are first accepted as one-shots before they are turned into longer series. If you want to give potential publishers a taste of your work, then it may help if you give them a one-shot first. What you send into each publishing company usually depends on the company themselves, and usually they will have different rules for submission. I also want to mention that when you sign your manga or comic over to a publishing company, you will likely lose a lot of the rights to your manga or comic. A publishing company will normally decide how your manga looks, how it's edited, how it's produced, how it reads, all of those details, so you do lose a lot of creative control over your story. In return, you do get marketing for your manga, and you also get to see it published with a company. So in order to protect your story and not lose all of your copyrights, make sure to read any documents before signing anything, and read any terms and conditions so you get the best possible experience with every company. So first of all, I'm going to be talking about how you can get published in Japan, and then I'm going to go further and I'll talk about how you can get published in America or Australia or any other country. So first of all, let's talk about how you can get published in Japan. Now, the first way to get published in Japan, and I believe which would be likely the easiest method, is to enter your one-shot manga into a contest. These contests usually ask you to submit a one-shot manga, and the prize usually involves you being able to be published in Japan. It's a great way to get your manga out there, and it's one of the much easier methods of being able to get published in Japan. Here are some of the most popular contests that are available online. So first of all, there's Silent Manga Audition, and this is a contest that requires you to submit a silent manga with no dialogue based on a theme. It happens at least every year, so keep an eye on the website for their next contest so you can create something based on a theme and submit it. Now there is also Jump's Universal Manga Contest, also known as the Jump Tezuka Manga Contest on Medibang. Now the prize for this is an opportunity to get published in Shonen Jump in Japan, which is one of the most famous Japanese manga magazines. There is also Clip Studio Paint's International Comic/Manga Schools Contest. This is for students, but if you're still in school, it's a good opportunity. I believe that Clip Studio Paint also runs other manga competitions as well, so keep an eye out for that. There is also Kitty Kyushu International Manga Competition, and one of the prizes for this is for your manga to be put in a manga museum. The way to get published in Japan is to send your manga directly to the Japanese manga magazines. There are various manga magazines including Weekly Shonen Jump, Hana to Yume, Besatsu Margaret, Ribbon, and Big Comic. This is how most manga gets published. Usually the manga will be either entered in a contest or it will be submitted directly to the Japanese manga magazine. When you look at things that are published by Viz or Kodansha, they are normally manga that have started off by being published in a Japanese manga magazine. Bakuman shows this process very well. The characters in Bakuman first enter a contest, and then they actually go inside a manga publishing company to show their work. So I believe Bakuman really shows this process of being able to publish a manga well, so I'd recommend you maybe watch that scene of the anime in order to get an idea of how that part of the process works. Keep in mind that when it comes to being published in Japan as a manga or comic creator, there is so much competition. There is not only foreigners that want to get published in Japan, but people in Japan itself who want to get published as manga creators. If you want to get the best chance of getting your manga published directly through the manga magazine, then your best option would probably be to learn Japanese and become fluent in it. You'd also be best to submit your manga in person. So it would not only be about you sending your manga into the manga magazine company itself, but it would also help if you actually went directly to the company that produces the manga. As I said, there are many people in Japan who want to get published as manga creators, so for you to get published, you would also want to follow those same rules in order to get the best possible chance. Now next, let's talk about how to get published in America. Now, as you can probably tell from my accent, I'm from Australia. However, the publishing methods for getting published in America are quite similar to the publishing methods in Australia as well. If you want to know more about the publishing methods available for your particular country, feel free to let me know in the comment section below or on any of my social media. I'd be happy to point you in the right direction for publishing companies. Now, in order to get published in America or any other country, the methods are a little bit different to Japan. It does depend on each publishing company, however I recommend you start with a cover letter, create a resume, and also create a brief synopsis for your book. So a cover letter is there to introduce yourself and the book you are submitting to the company. Your resume will show your prior work and experience, which makes it easier for a company to publish you. Now when it comes to being published in America, you don't need to send in your entire manga. Here are things you should have prepared in order to make the most of getting published with each type of company. So I'd recommend you create a full synopsis for your book, which includes the beginning, middle, and end. Tell them your whole story, even including spoilers. Now also include the designs of your main characters and descriptions about those characters so they know what those characters are like. Also send a chapter of your manga or 2 chapters so they can see your completed manga work and they can know what to expect if they were to publish the rest of your story. Also send them a coloured illustration so they can see what your coloured work looks like in case they want you to also draw the cover art for that book. Now the publisher you choose really depends on your genre. For example, if you specialise more in shoujo manga, you may be better choosing a company that specialises in shoujo manga. So when it comes to the genre you're writing, I recommend you look at the different companies and try and find a company that publishes more of the manga that you are creating. So here are some publishing companies in America or other countries that you may want to look at. So first of all, there's Dark Horse Comics. They have an email address on their website for submissions, and in that section they also detail what they want you to send in for your submission, so make sure to read it all properly before sending anything in order to get the best possible chance of being noticed by this company. There is also Last Gasp, and they are a comic publisher in San Francisco. Again, also look at their rules and follow the rules to give your book the best possible chance of being published. There is also Tokyopop, and now they don't accept submissions all the time, however it is something to still keep in mind and keep an eye on in case they do open up their submissions again. There is also Viz. As I mentioned earlier in this video, they are easier to get through by sending your manga to Japan and having your manga published in a Japanese manga magazine, since most of the manga Viz publishes is from manga magazines. However, Viz is something to still keep in mind because Viz does sometimes have competitions. There is also Kodansha. So Kodansha are the same as Viz, they are easier to get to through the Japanese manga magazines, however still keep them in mind. There is also Antarctic Press. They have submissions available on their website. And also a lot of different manga available to check out on their website. There is also Aigo Manga, so they also have submissions available. There is also HarperCollins. So HarperCollins generally accept books over manga or comics, however they have published manga and comics in the past, so they're still worth considering. They would probably be more likely to publish novels over manga or comics, but still keep them in mind because it is another method of being able to be published. There is also Vertical, and they are also generally a company that take manga from manga magazines in Japan, but they are still worth getting in touch with. If you're in Australia like me, there are also some comic publishers you can try here. Even if you're in America, I believe these companies also accept international submissions. So there is Gestalt Comics, and they're probably one of the more well-known comic publishers in Australia. They have submission rules on their website which you might want to check out. There is also Allen and Unwin. They publish regular novels more than graphic novels, however they do still publish the occasional graphic novel, so it's another thing to look at. There used to be a lot more comic and manga publishers in Australia, however a lot of them did close down unfortunately. These are the only ones I'm aware of that are still quite active with their comics. Now that I've talked about different ways of being published in Japan or America or any other country, I now want to talk about ways to increase your chances of being published. With so much competition out there, it can be hard to stand out among other creators. Hopefully these tips will help and help your manga to get published faster. The first way is to try and be unique with your manga or one-shot. As I mentioned before, there are so many people who want their manga to be published, so in order to stand out to a company, you want to make your manga as unique as possible. People will be more likely to choose your manga over others just because it's different from the other manga that are out there. My second tip is focus on your own country first before trying to get published in Japan. As I mentioned before, if you were to get published in Japan, you would have a better chance if you were completely fluent in Japanese. There would be a huge amount of people sending in submissions in Japan, whereas in your country there may be far less. Which means that if you were to submit your manga to a publisher in your country, you would be far more likely to be considered in that country over a country like Japan who would be receiving submissions all the time. One way to increase your chances of being published is to know your genre really well. For example, if your manga is comedy, then keep it very comedy focused and try submitting it to publishers who also publish comedy. Ensure that you are staying consistent to your genre and not switching genres too much, and that will be a good way for your publishers to know what you create and also for you to be able to get noticed by potential readers as well. My fourth tip is to gain more experience with art and writing. Keep practicing and writing things and don't give up. Manga creators practice for years and years before they get published. And the more experience you have and the more you add to your portfolio, the more you can show to potential publishers and the more they can see and experience your work. My fifth tip is write a good artist or writer resume. You have to think of it as you advertising yourself. You need to give these potential publishers a good reason and tell them why they would want to publish your book. You need to make sure that they see the confidence you have with your work and make sure that they have a good reason as to why they would want to publish you. My final tip is to, believe it or not, start with self-publishing. Some of the most successful and popular manga actually started off through self-publishing. If you want to get your manga out there first, it may help to upload it first as a webcomic or go through self-publishing. That way, when you do send your work to potential publishers, they will actually be able to see how popular your book already is and have a better reason as to why they would want to publish it. By doing that method, you would actually be showing those potential publishers that your book is successful and showing them a good reason why they would want to publish it. If you gain enough popularity for your manga or comic without being in a company, then it's more likely that a company would notice you and want to publish your manga through their company. So thank you so much for watching my video today, everyone. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please let me know in the comment section down below. If you would like any more tips about being published traditionally, then feel free to let me know in the comments below. You could also send me an email at art@midnightxcross.com, or you can message me on my social media. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have or point you in the right direction. Again, thank you so much for watching my video today, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!